Lanny. Thanks
Hello.
for coming in today. How was your week?
Good.
Good. So I see that you did your homework that you were working on.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So, my first scenario was my friends were very hyper, which I don't like. So what I did was I put my head down because I don't like that kind of stuff. And I don't know if it was the right decision or not. Do you know if it was the right decision?
Was that in school?
Yes.
Yeah. So what happened after you put your head down?
I think they started to realize that they were probably doing something I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
so
I
they
s-
stopped.
And I saw that you wrote you could have done something else different.
Hmm. I could have asked them politely to calm down a bit, but I didn't have the nerve exactly to do that.
It's good that you were able to identify that. You put a lot of effort into that. So that's really good that you thought of that alternative. What was the second one?
The second one was my sister. She ripped my video game controller out of my hand, and I got really angry because I feel like I don't deserve that. I felt really upset. So what I did was I ripped it out of my hand, and that wasn't the best decision. I feel like I could have handled it better by asking her politely to give it back to me.
Yeah, that's a very good alternative, very appropriate alternative. That's great that you could identify that again.
My last scenario was that I got
So you got yelled at by the teacher?
Yes, I got yelled at by the teacher. I was very upset, and I felt like I let the teacher down, which I don't like to do. I put my head down and cried in the corner of class. I don't really know if it was the best thing to do or not. I'm not sure. And I think I probably could have talked about this with my school counselor.
So what happened after you put your head down? You kind of cried. Did you do
Yeah.
anything after?
No, when class was in, I just walked out of class.
So you didn't talk to the teacher or anyone after?
No.
So you feel like next time if that were to happen that you could have gone to the counselor
Yes.
or even talked to your teacher?
Yes.
That's very good. You did a great job. I'm really
Thank you.
glad and I'm happy that you put that much effort into doing this and you really did a good job, challenging your thoughts and knowing how your thoughts affect your feelings and your behavior. So I thought today, Landon, that we could play this game.
Okay.
It's called Don't Go Bananas. It's really about helping, it's about CBT, kind of helping us understand our thoughts and how they affect our feelings and how that kind of affects our behavior. So, and how those are all connected. So this game helps us kind of identify those things. So it's kind of fun. So what we'll do is we're each going to start with 5 cards. And the purpose of the game is to kind of collect 3 cards from all the colors.
Okay.
And once you put a card down, you're going to answer the question that's on the card.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Do you have any
Yes.
questions?
No.
So because you're young and I'm old, you get to go first.
Okay.
So you can put a card down.
It says, say out loud, I am loved. I am loved.
Very good. And this is kind of a wild card, so you can use it for any...
Whatever I want.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. So because I have a 1 on this one, I'll put this down. How do you act when you're mad? So I notice when I'm mad, my cheeks start to get really red. And I feel like my heart rate kind of go up. And I'll be honest, sometimes my voice gets louder. I raise my voice sometimes when I'm mad.
If someone is sitting alone, how do you think they feel? Personally, I would enjoy sitting alone, but if someone doesn't like that, I think they would feel sad.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of bad to be alone.
Yep. That's very insightful, and that's showing a lot of empathy. Most people, like you said, would feel sad. Alright. What makes you sad? One of the things that makes me sad is when I see other people sad. That makes me feel truly very sad.
This one says, what's something that makes you afraid? Is it possible it isn't all that scary? Something that makes me afraid is probably letting my parents or letting anybody down, because I really try to make sure, that people trust me and they expect me to do very well. It really depends on what kind of person you are, if it's scary or not. Some people would actually agree with me that it's scary, and some people would agree with me that it's not. So I'm not sure if it's scary to other people.
Really good. Okay. Can you remember a time you were really angry? Is it possible you overreacted? Yes, I remember a time that I kind of jumped to conclusions before I kind of found out all of the facts of something I heard about one of my friends. I got really, really mad. I jumped to conclusions and I confronted them, and I assumed the worst. And I definitely overreacted, because once I collected all the facts, I realized that that wasn't the case.
This one says, when you get jealous for not having something, is it possible you already have everything you need? Yes. I've always been kind of the grass is always greener kind of person.
Yeah.
So, it is, when I do get jealous, I'm sure I have everything I need. It's just, I feel like it's natural for humans to want more than they need. So.
That's a really good point, and that's kind of hard to grasp, so that's really good. How do you act when you're jealous? I think in the past, when I was younger, when I would get jealous, like if somebody got something that I really wanted, and I really wanted that, and they got it, and I wasn't able to, I think in the past I do recall kind of treating them differently, not being happy or excited for them like I should have been, and kind of being a little mean and not talking to them as much.
This one says, say it out loud, I listen to my heart. I listen to my heart.
There we go. How do you feel when you lose a game? Sometimes I feel sad, other times I feel frustrated, other times I feel jealous. Often I feel frustrated though. All right.
This one says, think of a time when someone made you jealous. Are there clues that they didn't mean to? One time my friend got this really cool video game, and they were like waving it around like, oh my god, I just got this new video game. I don't know if he was trying to make everyone jealous, but it really seemed like I was really jealous. I didn't really want to talk to him for a while after that.
So initially, did you think, oh, he's doing it on purpose to make me jealous?
Initially, yes.
Yeah.
But then eventually I was like, maybe he's just super excited about this.
Yeah, very good. Challenging those thoughts. How do you feel if someone steals something of yours? I feel very disappointed. I've had someone steal one of my favorite pens that I just got at work, and I felt very disappointed because I felt like that was not the right thing to do. They could have asked to borrow it or asked for a pen, so I felt very disappointed.
This one says, when you're worried about something, do you think taking a deep breath would help calm you down? personally, it doesn't really calm me down. Usually, something that calms me down is I usually just like to maybe distract myself and do something else.
It's good that you're aware of that. Do you ever mean thoughts when you're, do you ever have mean thoughts when you are upset? What thoughts do you think you should have? Yes, to be honest. Sometimes if I feel very angry, my first thoughts are kind of mean thoughts, but I am able to kind of challenge those thoughts and think of more realistic and nicer ones.
This one says, how do you feel when someone yells? It really depends on what they're yelling about. Like if someone yells like you should have done this better, I feel bad because once again I don't want to let people down. But if someone's yelling about something that they don't even know what they're talking about, it makes me upset because they should know more about the topic that they're yelling at before they start rushing to
That's
conclusions.
very understandable. How do you act when you're afraid? I think my speech changes. I think I talk faster and even kind of stutter, and I have a hard time talking when I'm afraid. Sometimes I get more quiet as well.
What do you think about when somebody who what do you think about someone who makes you mad? I usually want to get as far away from them as possible. I try my best not to get mad at them because I don't know what's going on, like why are they causing me to make me mad? I don't know like what's going on in their life. So I usually don't try to say mean things back to them, but I do try and get as far away from them as possible.
That's showing a lot of empathy too. That's really good. What's something that makes you nervous? Can you think of a reason it isn't a big deal? Something that makes me nervous could be, or sometimes is, that I'm not doing good enough at my work. I wonder if I'm doing the best that I can, or if it's good enough, or if my boss feels that way. But when I really think about it, it's not that big of a deal. As long as I do what's expected and I try my best, then it's not a big deal.
Say out loud, I'm unique. I'm unique.
So I already have a 2 and you have a 2, so I'll put that down. I already have a 3 too, but what I can do is give that to you since you don't have one, and you have to answer it now.
Okay. If someone is crossing their arms, how do you think they feel? I think they're feeling, I think it's sort of like an identification as I want to close myself in, like I don't want to talk to people. So I usually want to stay away from them because I want to give them some time.
That's a good observation. Let's see. The cucumber. Say out loud, I believe in myself. I believe in myself.
What do you think about someone who makes you jealous? I get kind of upset with them because me being jealous is a feeling that I don't like. So I usually try to ignore them, maybe sometimes give them the silent treatment.
So what are some of your first thoughts when someone does make you jealous? What are you thinking when you...
I usually think this guy is a real jerk. Like why would anyone want to hang out with him? Like really mean thoughts.
So you don't have a 1 green yet, right? So I'm going to give that to you, which means you have to answer it.
How do you act when you're worried? Usually I try, if someone comes up to me when I'm worried, I try to like finish conversations. Like if they say like, "Hi, how are you doing?" I'm like, I go really fast, like, "Hi, how are you doing?" I'm doing really fine. Like I'm just trying to end the conversation. I also like isolate myself from other people, and I also stutter a lot when I'm anxious.
That's really good. You already have a 3 and I already have a 3. You don't have any red 2s yet, so I have to give that to you and you have to answer it too.
What makes you worried? If I see it, even the slightest sense of other people being worried, that makes me worried. I don't like it when I'm around worried people because it personally makes me worried because I want to help them, but they're just pushing me away.
That's showing a lot of empathy again and being sensitive to how other people are feeling. What do you think about someone who makes you afraid? My first thoughts are that's sometimes bullying behavior, and that's not kind to startle and make someone feel afraid.
What do you think about when you're sad? I usually think really depressing thoughts like I just want to go away. I just want to just go away from from whatever's making me sad. I don't really start crying at the moment, but eventually my thoughts become such into a spiral that I can't really handle it, and I do end up crying. So
Say out loud, I am okay with who I am. I am okay with who I am.
how would you feel if you got lost? My brain would probably end up spiraling into, what if I never see my family again? Like, is this it? Spiraling is something that I do a lot if I'm really stressed, so.
It's very insightful. You're very aware of your thoughts and feelings. It's very good. Do you have these? So I'll answer an extra one even though I have it. What makes you jealous? Naturally, sometimes I do feel jealous if, somebody gets something that I really need or wanted.
Say out loud, I listen to my heart.
Very good. And we got all of our sections, which is great. So Landon, our time is almost up, so I was hoping we could talk about our next homework assignment. I think you're doing very well, identifying how you're feeling and those first thoughts that you're having, like you mentioned. And you're starting to be aware of how that affects, your behaviors and how it's kind of all related, and I think that's great. And I know you mentioned you're having a hard time still kind of coping with those and calming yourself down and finding those strategies to calm when you're feeling like that. So I thought for next week, if you could work on this, I have 2 different sheets of coping skills. So this is the big list of coping skills, and it talks about a variety of coping skills. And this is a coping skills list, so it talks about different sections like calming coping skills, distracting like you mentioned, physical, and processing. So I thought you could take a look at them and highlight some of the ones you think may help you and try to use those strategies in practice this week.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think that sounds great.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and I'll see you next week.
See you then.